the unseen world, living among us. Alright, let's kick things off with ectoparasites. These are the external squatters, the ones you can often see with the naked eye, clinging to the outside of their host. Think fleas, ticks, lice, or even mites. They don't burrow deep inside, but instead, they set up shop on the skin, fur, or feathers, where they feed on blood, skin cells, or other bodily fluids. For instance, a tick can latch onto a deer or a human, engorging itself with blood for days, while also potentially transmitting nasty diseases like Lyme disease in the process. Their presence often causes irritation, itching, and discomfort, and in large numbers, they can lead to anemia or secondary infections. These external parasites have evolved incredible adaptations, from specialized mouth parts for piercing skin to flattened bodies that help them navigate through fur, ensuring they stay put on their unwitting meal ticket. Now, if ectoparasites are the external guests, endoparasites are the ultimate internal invaders, living deep inside their host's body. These are the worms, protozoa, and other microscopic organisms that make homes in organs like the intestines, liver, lungs, or even the brain. A classic example is the tapeworm, which can grow to astonishing lengths within a host's digestive tract, absorbing nutrients directly from their food, leading to weight loss and malnourishment for the host. Another common one is roundworms, often found in pets, which can cause digestive issues and stunted growth. These stealthy operators often have complex life cycles, involving multiple hosts and sophisticated ways to evade the host's immune system, silently siphoning resources and causing damage from within, sometimes without the host even knowing until symptoms become severe. Next up, we have facultative parasites. These are the opportunists of the parasitic world. Unlike many parasites that absolutely need a host to survive, facultative parasites can choose to live either as free-living organisms in the environment or switch to a parasitic lifestyle if the opportunity arises. Imagine a scenario where a normally harmless soil bacterium suddenly finds its way into an open wound. While it typically thrives in dirt inside the host, it can start causing infection and disease, essentially becoming a parasite. A chilling example is Naegleria fowleri, often called the brain-eating amoeba. It normally lives in warm freshwater, feeding on bacteria. However, if it enters a human nose, it can travel to the brain and cause a rapidly fatal infection, demonstrating its ability to shift from a free-living existence to a deadly parasitic one when the conditions are just right. They adapt to new conditions with remarkable flexibility. On the opposite end of the spectrum from facultative parasites, we find obligate parasites. These organisms are the ultimate dependents. They absolutely cannot complete their life cycle or reproduce without exploiting a host organism. Their survival hinges entirely on finding and inhabiting a suitable host. Viruses are prime examples of obligate parasites. They lack the cellular machinery to reproduce on their own and must hijack a host cell's machinery to create new viral particles. Take the flu virus, for instance. It must infect a living cell like one in your respiratory tract to replicate and spread. Without a host, it's just an inert particle. Many bacteria, protozoa, and even some fungi also fall into this category, having evolved such a tight relationship with their hosts that independent existence is simply not an option. They represent the peak of parasitic specialization. Prepare yourself for the truly dramatic parasitoids. While traditional parasites typically harm but don't immediately kill their hosts, parasitoids are different. They always, without fail, lead to the death of their host. Think of them as living biological assassins. The most famous examples are parasitic wasps, which lay their eggs inside or on other insects, like caterpillars or aphids. The wasp larvae hatch and then slowly, methodically, consume the host from the inside out, often avoiding vital organs until the very end to keep the host alive and fresh as long as possible. Once the larvae are fully grown, they emerge, leaving behind a hollowed-out carcass. This gruesome but fascinating strategy makes parasitoids incredibly important in pest control, as they can naturally regulate insect populations by targeting specific species with lethal precision. It's a truly fatal embrace. Now, let's dive into an even more intricate layer of parasitic interaction. Hyperparasites. These are parasites that parasitize other parasites. It's a parasite within a parasite, creating complex food webs that can be mind-boggling. Imagine a tiny wasp that lays its eggs inside a caterpillar. That's a parasitoid. But what if another, even tinier wasp comes along and lays its eggs inside the first wasp's larvae, which are still developing inside the caterpillar? That's hyperparasitism in action. This multi-layered parasitism isn't just a biological curiosity. It plays a significant role in regulating parasite populations themselves, acting as a natural control mechanism. For instance, certain fungi can parasitize rust fungi that infect plants. Understanding these intricate relationships is crucial for biological control efforts, as introducing a hyperparasite might indirectly protect crops by targeting the primary plant pathogen, showcasing nature's complex checks and balances. Moving beyond the microscopic and into the animal kingdom, we encounter brood parasites. These clever manipulators don't directly feed on their hosts, but rather exploit their parental care. The most well-known examples are certain bird species, like cuckoos, that lay their eggs in the nests of other bird species. The host parents, often much smaller, then unwittingly raise the parasitic chick as their own, feeding it and protecting it, usually at the expense of their biological offspring. The cuckoo chick often hatches first, grows rapidly, and then pushes the host's eggs or chicks out of the nest, ensuring it gets all the resources. This strategy allows the brood parasite to avoid the energy-intensive process of building a nest and raising young, focusing entirely on laying more eggs. It's a fascinating and ruthless evolutionary arms race where hosts develop defenses like recognizing foreign eggs, and parasites evolve to mimic host eggs or chicks. A true battle of wits. From parental exploitation, let's shift to social parasites. These highly specialized organisms exploit the collective labor and social structures of colonial insects, particularly ants, bees, and wasps. They essentially infiltrate and manipulate an entire colony for their own benefit. A classic example is certain species of slave-making ants. These ants raid the nests of other ant species, steal their pupae, and bring them back to their own nest. When the stolen pupae hatch, they emerge as workers who then serve the slave-making colony, foraging for food, caring for the young, and defending the nest, all without realizing they are serving an alien queen. Some social parasites even mimic the chemical cues of their host colony to avoid detection, allowing them to live undetected within the nest, feeding on resources or even the host's young. It's an intricate tale of deception and exploitation within the insect world. Prepare for the ultimate freeloaders. Kleptoparasites. The word klepto comes from the Greek word for thief, and that's precisely what these organisms do. They steal resources, particularly food, that another organism has acquired. Unlike traditional parasites that feed on their host, kleptoparasites feed from their host's hard-earned meal. Think of a frigate bird, which will harass other seabirds, like boobies, until they regurgitate their freshly caught fish, which the frigate bird then snatches mid-air. Or consider hyenas, often seen scavenging the kills made by lions. Even some insects exhibit kleptoparasitism, such as certain species of flies that snatch food from spider webs. This strategy allows the kleptoparasite to conserve energy that would otherwise be spent hunting or foraging, letting someone else do the difficult work. It's a clever, albeit often annoying, way to get a meal without putting in the effort yourself, highlighting the diverse ways species interact in the struggle for survival. Now we move to one of the most insidious forms of parasitism, castrating parasites. These organisms don't just consume nutrients or manipulate behavior. They specifically sterilize their hosts, essentially turning them into zombies whose sole purpose becomes serving the parasite. By preventing the host from reproducing, the parasite ensures that all of the host's energy and resources that would normally go into producing offspring are instead diverted towards the parasite's own growth and reproduction. A prime example is the barnacle Saculina, which infects crabs. Once inside, Saculina spreads root-like structures throughout the crab's body, absorbing nutrients. It completely castrates the crab and, remarkably, even feminizes male crabs, making them nurture the external sac of Saculina eggs as if they were their own brood. This ensures the parasite's offspring are protected and disseminated, while the crab becomes a sterile, living incubator, a truly chilling display of parasitic control over host biology. Hold on to your brains, because mind-controlling parasites are straight out of a science fiction movie, yet they're absolutely real. These parasites manipulate the behavior of their hosts in ways that directly benefit the parasite's life cycle, often making the host do things it would never normally do. The most famous example is Toxoplasma gondii, a protozoan that infects rats and mice. When infected, these rodents lose their innate fear of cat urine and actually become attracted to it. Why? Because Toxoplasma's ultimate goal is to get into a cat's gut, where it can sexually reproduce. By making rodents less fearful and even attracted to cats, the parasite dramatically increases its chances of being eaten by a cat, completing its life cycle. There are also fungi that turn ants into zombie ants, making them climb to high perches before the fungus bursts from their heads, spreading its spores. These parasites are masters of biological puppetry, showcasing the extreme lengths evolution can take. Finally, let's talk about one of the deadliest parasites on Earth, the malaria parasite, Plasmodium. This isn't just a fascinating biological entity, it's a global health crisis. Transmitted through the bite of infected Anopheles mosquitoes, Plasmodium parasites have an incredibly complex life cycle involving both human and mosquito hosts. Once in a human, they first infect liver cells, multiplying rapidly, then burst out to infect red blood cells, causing the debilitating fever, chills, and flu-like symptoms characteristic of malaria. The parasites then develop into forms that can be picked up by another mosquito, continuing the cycle. Malaria kills hundreds of thousands of people every year, primarily children in sub-Saharan Africa. Decades of research have gone into fighting this tiny killer, from bed nets and anti-malarial drugs to vaccine development. Its relentless impact underscores the profound influence parasites have on human history and global public health, reminding us of the constant battle against these microscopic adversaries. From the tiniest internal invaders to the most cunning external manipulators, parasites are a testament to life's incredible adaptability and its often unsettling strategies for survival. They challenge our understanding of ecosystems, evolution, and even our own health. Which of these fascinating and sometimes terrifying parasitic strategies surprised you the most?